I spent last weekend working with my chickens, my mellifluous chickens. I needed to move my new pullets out of their cage into the big coop. Of course, to do that, I had to move the laying hens out of the big coop into the little coop. And little coop was empty because I had to move the broilers into the freezer. That's a different story. All of those chickens had to get used to a new situation, and that required some change management. And that requires leadership. Fortunately, I've had almost 40 years of leadership and management experience. And all of that experience with people is invaluable when it comes to being the boss rooster of my chicken flock. Today, I'll tell you about my top 3 preferred leadership styles, according to both the Toastmasters assessment and my own experience. My preferred style of leadership is the innovative style. I like to solve problems by doing new things rather than making existing things a little bit better. And I'd much rather invent something completely new than just tweak the current state. This is both a blessing and a curse. Consider your reaction if I would say, just trust me. I'd bring you a crazy idea and I'd say, just trust me, this will work. Now, it might work if you knew me and if you had prior experience with one of my crazy ideas. It did not work in the mortgage department at the bank in 1997. I was young. I was promoted into the mortgage area from the internal audit area with no real mortgage experience. I inherited a department that didn't know me, and that really wasn't a team. They were more like the island of misfit toys. I was put there to shake things up. I think they're still shaking. At the time, it took the mortgage department over 30 days to approve and process a loan. I proposed a new process, new tools, and new responsibilities. I was excited about the possibilities. It scared the hell out of them. They were used to doing the same things over and over in the same way. They liked predictability. The new process eventually worked, but it was really painful to get there. Shortly after the mortgage experience, I had the opportunity to attend the Center for Creative Leadership's Leadership Development Program in Colorado Springs. It's a week-long program that requires a lot of pre-work, a lot of personality assessments, 360-degree reviews. And when I was out there at the program, it involved leadership simulations and IQ tests and peer observation and individual time with a coaching psychologist. When I called up to ask about the program, I asked, what's this all about? They said, we spend the first half of the week tearing you apart and the second half of the week putting you back together better. And that's exactly what happened. It was one of the best experiences of my life. It was like drinking self-knowledge from a fire hydrant. Last week, Eric mentioned the Myers-Briggs type indicator. I took it at CCL for the first time. Eric, I'm an ENTP, extroverted, intuitive, thinking, perceptive. Short name, inventor. I'll just mention that I was so intrigued by that instrument that I eventually became certified to administer the Myers-Briggs myself. One of the other assessments that we took was the Curtin Adaption Innovation Inventory. And it measures how we like to solve problems, whether from an adaptive perspective, which is taking the existing situation and changing it slightly to make it better, or from the innovative side, which is to do something completely new. The normal distribution of the curve shows the results of the group and of history at CCL. This is where I landed on the curve. From my observations and experience, this is probably where the mortgage staff was on the curve. The psychologist said that people on opposite ends of the curve generally don't get along. I remembered my experience with the mortgage department, and I had to agree. I thought they were unimaginative and fearful, and they thought I was nuts and a real jerk. And then she said, Craig, you will have a hard time communicating directly with those people. You need a bridger, someone closer to the adaptive side that can translate your ideas to them and who knows you and can build consensus. She gave me some good strategies to improve my leadership and to develop better relationships with people. And she encouraged me to be more democratic in my leadership style, still utilizing my innovation, but moderating it to be more acceptable. I'm now quite comfortable with the democratic style of leadership. We do. The democratic style of leadership requires getting participation from the group and gaining consensus. It does not work well with chickens. However, it did work with the accounting department when we changed processes back in 2001. I just became the interim CFO at the bank, and I inherited a team of people that had worked together for a long time and who knew me from my work as internal audit. Having learned from the mortgage experience, I didn't give them the grand plan all at once. Rather, I gradually introduced the ideas piece by piece and let them fill in the details and add their own ideas, adapting their existing situation and existing systems bit by bit until we had actually changed them significantly and made them brand new. It took longer than I preferred, but we didn't have any meltdowns this time. I also used that bridger technique that I learned from CCL. My accounting manager would take my ideas to the people in the accounting department and convert them to concrete examples and build consensus. And she'd communicate that in her calm, rational manner. Since the democratic style sometimes takes a while, it isn't always the best choice. There have been times when time is short and I had to resort to, okay, people, here's what we're going to do. Which leads me to the authoritative style. In 1985, I was a junior in college. I took over management of one of the college's snack bars. We had grilled burgers and fries, sandwiches, pizza, ice cream, and pop. I planned the menu, I had to order all the food, and I had to hire all the people. But I inherited an existing schedule of people from the previous manager when he graduated. He had 5 people working the line, 2 on the grill, 1 making sandwiches, 1 making serving ice cream and pop, and then a cashier at the cash register. The cashier sat on a stool. After watching this for a couple of weeks, it was clear that we were overstaffed. And the stool really irked me. I expected people to be busy, even when there were no customers. At a snack bar, there's always something to wash or wipe down or restock. Instead, the cashiers just sat. And they ignored my suggestions that they would wash or wipe down or restock. They were the senior people, and they had earned the right to sit. So, I got rid of the stool. I set it out on the loading dock and sent it back to central storage. Problem solved. Half the people quit. And that was okay in this case. I reorganized the line, moved the pop machine up to the front to be self-serve, reduced the number of workers from 5 to 3, 1 on the grill, 1 to help with the grill and make sandwiches, and a cashier that also served ice cream. It worked great for the 2 years that I ran the snack bar. However, the direct approach can ruffle feathers. I've learned to use it sparingly. We'll take a quick look at my least preferred style, the bureaucratic style. Now, this Bureaucratic style establishes rules and demands rigid compliance to those rules. I tend to look at rules more like guidelines. When I'm anywhere near a bureaucracy, my skin crawls off my body. If we're not breaking the law, violating ethics, or hurting somebody, I'd just soon get the work done. In closing, all these experiences with people help me grow as a leader, sometimes painfully. When I need to lead, I'm able to adjust my style to the situation that it requires. When I'm a follower, I'm able to assess the styles of my leaders and adjust my own behavior and attitude accordingly. I just hope it makes me a good boss, Rooster. Madam Toastmaster.